Hello, beautiful souls. It is a chilly day here in upstate New York, and I just felt called to come on and do a little storytelling, share a little bit about my journey. For those of you who don't know my whole story, I know a lot of you guys have been following me for a long time, so you've watched me leave my job as a clinical microbiologist and transform my life and build a whole new business and a whole new way of living. And so I want to kind of share my journey on a deeper level with those of you who don't know about it. So I was a clinical microbiologist for almost 2 decades. Kind of crazy, right? And I also am a mom to two children. I kind of keep them separate from all of this because that's a sacred space for me. I understand a lot of people share their children. That's just really personal for me, and there's no judgment on that. It's just something that I've chosen to kind of keep to myself. So I have a son and a daughter. And I am on my second marriage. So just a little bit of background history about me. And I went through a divorce, which was a big deal. And then I also left my job as a clinical microbiologist. And I'm saying these two things because these were two huge initiations for me to get to the place that I am right now. And they were not easy to do, and they required a lot of faith and a lot of devotion and a lot of assistance from a higher power and trusting in that connection and in that guidance and knowing when to leap and when to be still and when to rest. So it was not always easy by any means, okay? Like I was doing my healing career for 10 plus years alongside as a microbiologist, right? I wasn't like as soon as I started doing my sound events and yoga events and all of that, like, oh, I'm just leaving my job. No, I had two kids to provide for, and I was building my clientele. I was also saving, right? Investing, creating a retirement fund, and doing all of these things to build my future. So I was listening. I was listening on when it was going to be the most appropriate time to move. And there's so much, and I think I'm going to share a little bit throughout this whole process of how hard it was to be a single mother and work full time and have your kids and extracurricular activities and do it all. Like in hindsight, I'm like, holy shit. Like I was running on fight or flight, on adrenaline, like for so long. And I thought at the time that I had it all under control. But as soon as I left my job and life circumstances changed, and I married my husband, and I had help and everything else, my body went through a process of like massive, massive healing and recalibration. And I want to speak about that today because it's not often spoke about what happens when you leave a job or a long-term relationship, especially if you were approaching burnout and it was a toxic environment or a toxic relationship. So when I left that job, I went through a massive stage of healing and recalibration because I was living on fight or flight so long, even though I thought I wasn't stressed out. I thought I had it all under control, but my body had a whole new story. I required so much sleep, so much rest, a new way of eating, everything. Like everything was shifting. The foods that I wanted, who I wanted to be around, how I wanted to go about my day. It was all being redirected. I went through bouts of mystery pains, chronic pains, mystery pains as my body was healing. It was like my body was finally able to relax. It wasn't in a toxic environment. My work was a very toxic environment. So my body was always tense, right? So as soon as my body was in a safe environment, I gave it permission to heal. And as I was healing, I was experiencing all these pains. And so if you were to go to a doctor, because I've had this happen at other times in my life, like this happened when I left my husband, and I actually ran to the doctor back then, and they wanted to tell me I had trigeminal neuralgia, I had neurological issues, or maybe some weird autoimmune disease, these mystery illnesses that people can't figure out. And really, I was a highly sensitive being that was absorbing tons of energy, operating on, adrenaline the whole time, my fight or flight, and not really managing my nervous system. So like my body was just like freaking out. I did not know how to manage it all. This is all part of my journey. This is how my spiritual gifts came online. They were the tools that I needed to heal myself. And this is why I'm so passionate about sharing my work, sharing my stories, because what I teach, what I share works. It has transformed my life, So back to the mystery pain and illnesses, okay? So like all these things were coming on. I'd get like sharp shooting jaw pain for like 24 hours. Then it would move to my shoulder. It was like all of this energy was lifting and moving out of my body, but I had to go through this process. And since I've worked with so many clients, I've seen it in other people, so I was now feeling it in myself on a whole new level, so I managed it differently. And that's when I got really deep into all my practices. I was like, I had this toolbox that I have accumulated of movement, of sound, of using tuning forks, essential oils, diet, right? And now I was like, okay, well, we have all of these. What am I supposed to do now with all that's going on? How am I going to recalibrate myself for now this new life? What am I doing? And so I started to manage all of it and listen. And I started to apply all these different modalities to transform my life. And I really went deep into the body. And I realized that there was so much information within my body and so much wisdom that I wasn't accessing before because I was constantly doing, right? So me getting still, quiet, and being really present with myself allowed me to access what wanted to be birthed, what I was supposed to create and generate in this world. But I also, in order to open up higher levels, I had to heal my body and I had to raise my frequency so I could tap in to higher downloads. When I mean higher downloads, it's like more information that wants to stream through. So I'm kind of thinking of myself as a bridge, right? I'm a human being here on earth. I'm also connected to a higher power. That higher information is going to stream forth, and it's also going to activate certain codes in my body that hold information, right? So then there's this beautiful marriage of the codes of the physical, the seen, and the codes of the unseen. So I was activating all of those, and I was listening and I was trusting. And fast forward, we're going to skip over a lot because we could be here for a long time. I'll share more and more every day, and you guys tell me what you want to hear more about, because I've got a lot of stories between parenting, failed relationships, my spiritual awakening, my Kundalini activations. There's a lot to share. So here I am today, happily married, doing what I love. I am now the CEO and owner of Vibratory Alchemy. I have a successful women's group coaching business, and I'm now mentoring people, change makers, agents that are here to birth new systems, pave a whole new way of being, activate their creative genius, and earn abundance, okay? And I have a whole new way of a business model on how to earn abundance and energetics around business, because I don't work the way other coaches and business marketing people want to tell you how to do it. I've kind of generated this whole path of experience, and I've been provided for very well just by listening to spirit. I work in ebbs and flows, okay? I have time with my family. I have time for my loved ones. I have time for exercise, for walks, for traveling. I can work anywhere and I can generate abundance. Like, that is the framework I want to see for humanity. That is the framework I want to see. And that's why I do what I do. And that's why I left my job. And that's why I'm devoted to this path of service, because I believe we can all live like this. All right? And when you remember your connection to earth and the higher realms, and you embody all of that, and you tap into your inner genius, and you remember your codes and the mission that you came here to live out, you will experience abundance on all levels. I am so grateful for my journey and all the lessons and the blessings, because it was a test on so many levels, an initiation on so many levels, to prove that I had the power within me all along, right? And so I only teach and share what I know works for me and what I know has worked for so many of my clients. So this is what I share to inspire you, that if you are feeling burnt out, if you're feeling like you're in a toxic relationship, if you feel overwhelmed, and maybe you have kids that are really difficult. I mean, my kids were really, really difficult when I first got divorced. I was like, I look back on it and I'm like, holy shit. Just a little side note, but now they're amazing. They're amazing. So as I evolved and grew, so did they. I mean, I keep my kids more private. I won't talk that much about them or share them, because that's a very sacred thing, and I like to keep them away. I don't judge people that put out all their stuff with their kids, but that's one thing that I might mention here and there, but you will never see me sharing more with them on social media. So that's just a little side note. But yeah, I wanted to share this to inspire you that you have the power to transform your life, and there is another way, okay? There is another way to run your business. There is another way to leave. You don't have to go to a job that drains you every day. I'm not saying just get up and leave that job. Obviously, it took me a while. It was a strategic process until Spirit was like, boom, you're out. Like, unexpected, boom, you're out. It's going. I was setting up myself for a successful transition for what I thought I needed to, but Spirit jumped in and was like, this is happening a lot faster than what you thought. So you gotta trust. You gotta trust the flow. And so if you need help with these transitions, I am here for you. I've walked the path, I've done it, and now I'm excited for the next level of my journey. It's like I was working for myself, right? Like all of last year, it was like I was just running a business as me, but now I'm called to run a whole company. And this year I'm going to be hiring more people and building this whole network. So it's just like, it's amazing what happens when you flow and you trust. The more you give, the more you receive, the more you attune your nervous system to expand and you listen to your body, the more opens up. So I don't know about you, but I love this. I love the way that I am able to work a couple hours a day and do what I love. And then, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some days that I'm like just taking care of myself, and then there's other weeks where, I'm really working hard, but it's like an ebb and flow. It's not like constant every day. I don't put the pressure. I listen to when the energy needs to be, okay, this is self-nourishment, this is nervous system recalibration, and when it's go time, like we got information to bring forth. So, leaving my job was the best thing I've ever done. I couldn't imagine. It wouldn't have even happened. I think my body would have just fell apart. So I share this with you to inspire you that you can achieve anything, anything you put your heart and your mind to, and you trust in a higher power, and you will be led to the most magnificent space. Sending you so much love. I hope this resonated. Put in the comments what you want to learn more of, and I'd be happy to share. I think my Kundalini Awakening is a really good one. Maybe I'll share that one next week. Mwah.